Yeah. What's up, guys? Happy Wednesday. I feel like yesterday the music was too loud. No one said anything. Today, let me know if the music's too loud. Unless you guys just like the beats. What up, Conscious? What up, Chester? What up, Josh? Squeak Diesel. Bunch of squiggly lines. I don't know what that is. What up, Kiefer? Moose. Was on first place last night with Paul George to go in the last game, and LeBron messed it all up. So mad at him. You know, I should have brought it up on the stream yesterday, but Sen brought it up in the Discord about LeBron James and the Clippers being the only team he hasn't dropped 40 on. Worked out. So there was a little bit of narrative there. Even more so that he held the L and looked angry. What up, Corbonzo? Would you trade Brook Lopez and Darius Garland for Kyrie, Kevin Huerter, and Oladipo in a 12-team points league? 12-team points league. So I'm not a season-long expert. I'm not sure what 12... Does that mean just points only, not like categories? If it's categories, I want Brook and Garland. If it's points only, then I guess I'd take the latter. But I don't want to misinterpret that and lead you astray. What up, 8 Game? What up, Slays? That's my Fortnite buddy. What up, Dang Lazy Mofo? Exit Screaming. Hope you guys are doing all right. Got 10 games tonight, eh? Let me make sure we got all the screens ready. All right, so we got the spreadsheet ready. How'd everybody else do last night? I feel like we were right in some spots. I don't really think I was super wrong in most spots. Maybe underwhelming. I guess Beal and Kuzma both kind of sucked. I wasn't like super strong on them, but I had more Beal than Kuzma, and Kuzma was the 10 fantasy point better play. But I wasn't that invested. Let's see. Make sure we have depth chart. We got Wowie ready. We got... I guess we can open up a little stat muse action. Get all the screens. What up, Ego? Just hit the like button. I appreciate that. Chat, I have a goal today. I don't know if it's a goal. But yesterday, we peaked at 299 concurrent. And I noticed I had the wrong thumbnail on. So I feel like there's a chance today in the second hour, towards the end of the second hour, we might dip into the 300 viewers. And I don't think we've hit 300 plus since the first stream of the season. So, hey, we'll keep an eye on that. And then yesterday, you guys killed it with likes. We got like 120. Looking at the top scores yesterday, yeah, LeBron James, 77 fantasy points. Luka Doncic, 70 with 41 real points, 15 rebounds, just 6 assists. Julius Randle. The points in the paint metrics don't matter for the Cavaliers when you can shoot threes. Julius Randle hit 8 threes against that front court. So he was a huge play there if you grabbed onto that. Tatum, 60 fantasy points. Jokic ended up playing 59, so it wasn't really needed, especially at that price range. Donovan Mitchell, 59 in the Garden. Bam Adebayo without Jimmy Butler. Butler was a late rollout. We thought something might have been funky with just a 4.5 point spread. And because of Butler's absence, a lot of energy and ownership went to Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo. Buddy Hield dropped 46. TJ McConnell just keeps getting it done, and he had 41 minutes to do it. A little over a fantasy point per minute in that game, 10 assists. So good for him. I believe his assist prop was like 10.5, so he actually didn't hit that. That's crazy. But he probably still hit his fantasy points. That was it. I don't really see any surprises at the top. I think I was under the field on Danny Avdija, and he just absolutely crushed it. 10 rebounds out of him. So we'll see if he continues to produce at that level without Rui Hachimura. Dwight Powell dropped 37 fantasy points. Didn't know he could still do that. Saric, 35 fantasy points. So looking through it, no real surprises. I would have never landed it. Like, I know Haywood Highsmith benefited from no Jimmy, but I hate playing that dude. Big fantasy game out of him. Everything else was on point, par for the course. So hopefully today we can keep a strong player pool like yesterday. Make a little scratch. All right, so we should start things off looking and catching up on news. So I'm gonna make sure that's ready. We got the depth chart ready. We got the on-off court tools ready. And I guess we got the spreadsheet ready, so we are all but ready to go. Old white guy just told me to hit that like button. Who, me? Beer nuts are over $1 and deer nuts are under $1. I like it. Zubac and Schroeder got me. Yeah, Zubac. Hero fails in every big spot. Easy fade. I wasn't that. So yesterday was a weird day. If you played on DraftKings, it was like so many great point guard only plays. So you had to really make some stands. And there was like Chris Paul, Luka. We had the value, TJ McConnell. And then later on in the night, I thought Dennis Smith Jr. could open up. So I ended up putting a lot of investment in the high dollar point guard. So I didn't land on a ton of Tyler Hero, but it made perfect sense, obviously. Just got a little lucky there, I guess. You know? All right, let's pop open the main screen. Let's get caught up on 3 p.m. news, underdog_NBA on Twitter. Every day, 3 p.m., key news to watch. LeBron James uncertain to play. Anthony Davis expected to play. Nikola Jokic questionable, played last night. Joel Embiid questionable. Jamal Murray questionable. Brandon Ingram questionable. Michael Porter Jr. questionable. Rudy Gobert questionable. Jabari Smith questionable. DeAndre Hunter questionable. And then right as I was prepping, some news came out. We got Donovan Mitchell didn't practice. And that's mainly it. So Donovan was we talked about the narrative of Donovan Mitchell against the Knicks. Remember there was some offseason hype about him going to the Knicks, but it didn't happen, and then they ended up getting Jalen Brunson. So did his thing. LeBron not playing on a back-to-back. I mean, LeBron has played back-to-backs, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. With Anthony Davis being available, you just never know. What up, Dylan? Ready for some baseball? I can't wait for some baseball. There's going to be World Baseball Classic at the end of next month, right? March. So that'll be a lot of fun. I don't know what we can do in terms. I know, like, the last time World Baseball Classic was around, DraftKings did have contests for it. But it's a little hard to build out spreadsheets for because all the players come from so many different leagues. Not every league is created equal. For instance, the bums of the MLB are Babe Ruth and like KBO. You know what I mean? So not every stat should be weighted the same. So I don't know how to build out a model for that. And I probably won't. It's only worth it once every 4 years. But I'm certainly ready for baseball. Absolutely ready for MLB. What up, Smoothie? You know, the other day I DoorDashed some stuff for coffee. You know, needed a refresh. And I usually get like a chocolate cream or something like that. And I guess they were out of what I ordered. And the lady took the liberty of substituting sweet Italian cream. It is abysmally bad. I don't like it at all. And I needed caffeine and it's cold. I wanted something warm. I was like, dude, I can't torture myself with this cream. I opened up the cabinet and the top shelf, dusty top, there was a can, like a tin can of chocolate, like hot chocolate powder. I was like, I'm not even going to look for an expiration date. I'm just going to use it, and whatever happens, happens. And it tastes delicious. So a homemade mocha hopefully doesn't kill me, but I just couldn't do that sweet Italian cream anymore. It's just not it, bro. Okay, it works if it opens. Spiders from New York, yeah. All right, let's dip into tonight's slate a little bit. If any news drops and I miss it, let me know in chat. And if you guys already done a little bit of research, a little bit of legwork, share what you're digging. We're going to go game by game here. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. Pacers at the Magic, first game on the docket. Project starting 5 for the Pacers. TJ McConnell, Andrew Nembhard, Buddy Hield, Aaron Nesmith, and Miles Turner taking on Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris Jr., Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and Wendell Carter Jr. We got a 234 total and a 5-point spread. in favor of the home team Orlando Magic. Definitely some loose ends to pick up on news-wise. Nembhard and Naismith both carrying tags, at least when I jotted the info down an hour or two ago. So let's go tighten those up. Nembhard, this is via NBC Sports Edge. Questionable with an illness against the Magic. Naismith is questionable with a right wrist. He's appeared in the last 6 games, but is dealing with a wrist issue ahead of the second half of the back-to-back. So, looks like Nembhard's the guy that's more likely to miss, and we can kind of run back what we've seen in the last 2 games that are the Pacers. And would that mean another 40-minute night of basketball for TJ McConnell? We had TJ McConnell, Buddy Hield, Naismith, Chris Duarte, and Miles Turner as your starting 5 yesterday. So I would anticipate that would mean the same thing tonight. Chris Duarte more than likely would start if Nembhard can't go. And then if they end up giving Naismith a night off, that could create chaos. They have been very trolly the last 2 seasons with that front court. Jalen Smith, Isaiah Jackson, O'Shea Brissett. Hopefully Naismith can go, and it's just maintenance tag. But TJ McConnell, same price as last night, so I got to expect if we get a similar scenario where Nembhard's down, the ownership's going to be still astronomically high because he just keeps paying off. And at this rate, I got no pushback. If Nembhard is in, maybe the minute projections come down a little bit. He's not playing 40 minutes, and it is a back-to-back. Then maybe there's a little bit more reason to suggest that he won't be truly optimal on a 10-game slate. But it looks pretty good from this far out, projection-wise. The Magic have been a team that I don't get to a ton since they've kind of become fully healthy, right? We had that stretch where everyone was out and there were suspensions. Now everyone's just kind of in the mix and probably efficiently priced, but there's still upside on each of these prices individually, especially against a defense like the Pacers. So I have loose interest. I just have to throttle or govern this interest and prevent my lineups, I guess, from loading up on Magic because everyone projects awfully decent, right? Wendell Carter Jr. coming back for me, strong 6X. Paolo Banchero shot at 40 fantasy points. Franz Wagner, we've seen him pop open. So every one of these guys, I think, individually has a case, especially on the DraftKings side of things. A $5,900 Markelle Fultz looks more appeasing than a $7,400 Markelle Fultz on FanDuel. So I do think I get to just about all the Magic. Maybe not Gary Harris in the player pool for DK, but probably have to find ways to make sure that it correlates naturally and as positive as possible. So I don't know. Is there any negative correlation between Banchero and Wendell Carter? I don't think so. And Carter, let's pull him up. Center only on DraftKings. Last couple games, 33, 31 minutes, 28 and 40 fantasy points. Pushing double-digit shot attempts, just kind of putting tallies in every category. And that's what I'm getting at. I think, some games could be the Carter game. Some games could be the Banchero game. I guess putting an official percentage on these guys, let's put them all on the court together. Because I don't want to just make up gut reactions, but it feels like that they can interchange night to night for ceiling. So let's put Wendell Carter, let's put Banchero on the court together, and I guess let's put Fultz out there as well. And then I also want to study maybe a couple of minute rotations just lately. Are the Magic a team that run kind of like 2 true units? Let's look at the Celtic team. Yeah, kinda, right? Kinda run 2 units. There's a little bit of overlap between the 2 units, but a lot of times second unit's a second unit and vice versa, whereas some teams will stagger starters at all times. So it's fair to keep these guys on the court at the same time. We got 257 minutes at the of sample size. Over 1.1 fantasy point per minute for Carter, Markelle Fultz, and Banchero's at 105. Usage rates were between 21 and 25%. So yeah, definitely opens the floor for some vulturing on each other and ceilings to not coexist. The 33.5% assist rate for Markelle Fultz is interesting. Let's I didn't pull up PrizePicks. I always forget some tab. Today is PrizePicks. So let me pull up PrizePicks and see if we're getting anything interesting on Fultz in terms of assists, because this is a good matchup defensively for the Magic. Biela's due for a big game. Oh my God, Chester, that slot machine is If you're at the Bradley Beal slot machine, one arm's looking like that Quagmire bit when he found internet. But I agree with you, and you would think without Porzingis and Hachimura to an extent, it's on the way. 5.5 assists for Markelle Fultz. I kind of like taking the over on that. With we're looking at Boston, tougher matchup, slower matchup. I guess to an extent it wasn't like the Marcus Smart, but Brogdon and Derek White, I believe, played that game. So in games that are maybe more competitive, and how often do the Magic have an implied total of 115? I think the Fultz over 5.5 assists, something I might get behind early. So I'm going to jot down a couple, all right? I've been slacking on jotting down a couple leans. Let's go over 5.5 assists here. And then fantasy-wise, I got him at 32. And they have him at 27. But I don't want to get too invested in the other stuff, but just looking at our metrics here, it is fair to be on Fultz for assist, I think. Yeah. Gun, you the man. No, you the man, Dylan. Trae Young back in Oklahoma where he played college ball. I can get down with that. Swoller, I'm telling you, man. Some of these guys at the slot machine got one arm looking rough, got a rotary cuff looking like a ball tire. I don't even know if that's how rotary cuffs work. I just assume. Anyway, so if Nembhard goes down, Chris Duarte, 3,400. I get it if you want to get there, but Benedict Mathurin's the guy I've been stronger on exposure wise. Last night 34 minutes, the game prior 38, the game prior 32. I trust him more than Chris Duarte to put up points, and I'm okay with him being off the bench. A little less usage guys to contend with. Double-digit shot attempts coming from him. Likely going to flirt with 20 points. So I would have Mathurin in my back pocket if Nembhard is down, no matter who starts. I'm assuming they just run back what they've been doing. So, yeah. You guys can hang on that game before we move on to the next game. I'm cool with it. What up, Ducking? Hope you're doing all right today. Did I miss anybody else in chat? I don't think so. Okay. Sixers hosting the Nets. Ben Simmons in Philly. That should be fun. Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Benjamin Simmons III, and Nick Claxton taking on James Harden, D'Anthony Melton, Tobias Harris, PJ Tucker, Joel Embiid. We got a 225 total, 5-point spread for the home team, Philadelphia 76ers. KD still down. Joel Embiid holding on to a game time decision tag. Let's go check out what that's all about. What's that all about? Philly. Left foot injury recovery. Embiid rested his bothersome left foot during Sunday's game against the Kings, and it seems like he's bound for a similar outcome Wednesday. The team's injury report later in the day should shed more light on his status. Okay, the way did I interpret that wrong? But it seems like that's kind of pushing us towards him resting, but I don't know how strong that source is. So, all right, so this is definitely one of those spots. If Embiid doesn't play, we get 1,000,000,000% usage for Harden, and then it might be the Harden versus Kyrie show. And we've seen this play out, I believe, at least 3 times this season where Embiid's been questionable. We sit on pins and needles for the news, and then he's in, and people were just ready to make a Harden decision, and they just kind of go light on Embiid exposure, and Embiid has, infinite usage himself, 30+%. So may catch the field sleeping on a 10-game slate if that news doesn't come out early enough. We only have that Magic Pacers game at lock, so as long as you make some decisions in that game in terms of what you want, and I think it's pretty obvious, then I think it's okay, and you'll have time to late swap and restructure stuff if that news doesn't come out in time. But I feel like the Sixers have been relatively well with news, even though we meme Doc, right? On the net side, Kyrie just keeps getting it done. Let's go pull up the on-off court tool for that. Appreciate you, Wesley. All right, let's put Kyrie. What did I just do? What is this? Oh, you could save queries? That's so cool. I didn't even know you could do that. Let's just put Kyrie on, Durant off. Did Ben Simmons has played a game in Philly once already, right? I know there was a ducking narrative. Let me see. Man, dude, my nose is itchy. Nora without Portis? Yeah, I saw Bobby Portis can be down. I don't want to run to trust Jordan Nora, but it stands to reason that he could benefit. We'll dive into that a little bit. DP by game log versus 76ers last. Let's go for 5 games. Yeah, he was at Philly. Dang, he went off that game, huh? KD, Ben Simmons, Kyrie. Yeah, Simmons went off that game. Almost stripped up. Good for him. All right, so Kyrie on, KD off. Kyrie's holding a 32% usage rate, 1.3 fantasy point per minute. Nick Claxton almost a 1.2, and then Ben Simmons 0.9 has a 34% assist rate. The usage rate's down, but that assist rate's intriguing. So 6,500 on DK, probably is going to project pretty decently. If Embiid plays versus Embiid not playing, it definitely shakes up the front court a little bit for me. Let me see. How can I? I guess we could just look at Claxton. Usually with the opposing centers against Embiid, I just look at foul rates, 2 and 36. Hasn't been in trouble lately, but Golden State and Utah don't really have high usage centers. Meanwhile, Phoenix, I don't know if that's a DeAndre Ayton game. Jakob Poeltl, we see 5 and 6, fouled out in 28 minutes. In 21 minutes earlier season, 3 fouls against the Sixers. So I'm a little bit worried about Nick Claxton. Let's do NBA fouls per 36 this season. See how high Claxton is. This chocolate is so good. That's not the right season. Back in Philly for sure. Yeah, I think my boy C was at that game. I'm not for sure. What's up, Noel Buchanan? Hope you're doing all right. If Embiid is out, does Claxton look better? Yeah, his foul proneness becomes less risky. And I don't even want to put that bug on him just yet. But let's see, Nicholas Claxton by game log versus Joel Embiid. That's fine. But it's certainly a concern for me for any center against Embiid. Looking at his last couple games against Embiid, 4 fouls in 22 minutes, 4 fouls in 33 minutes, 4 fouls, 22 minutes, 4 fouls in 22 minutes. So that's what I would be worried about. But yes, the matchup becomes infinitely better, and the foul proneness, decreases if it's PJ Tucker or if it's Montrezl Harrell or Paul Reed. Even we've seen them do a couple of things. I think with Maxey back in the picture, I think the PJ Tucker at the 5 lineup is probably more fitting, and then you push Tobias Harris down, and you got Melton, you got Tyrese Maxey. You know what I mean? So that would be my expectation, but it's certainly not a guarantee. In which case, I'm fine with Claxton, not having to defend PJ Tucker's 0% usage. Yeah. Claxton's been doing pretty well DFS wise, turned to regional block, but his points fluctuate. Yeah. What up, Caleb? I see you. So yeah, if I guess from this far out, I got Kyrie projected pretty well, 50 plus fantasy points. These projections shouldn't fluctuate, but the Sixers definitely go way different with or without Harden. I guess I really don't know which way to lean. That blurb kind of pushed either way. The 5-point spread, I understand either way. So I don't know. I guess it'd be a coin flip from this far out. I guess since we're here, let's do a quick query on Harden. We want to do Harden and Maxey without Embiid. Let's do Harden Tobias without Embiid and just see what comes up. I guess it doesn't really matter. Let's just put Harden. 1.32 fantasy point per minute, 24, just a 24% usage. Am I reading that right? Something must have went awry. I feel like that can't be right. Let's refresh it. Because it still showed Embiid in the split over here. Let's take Embiid off first. Let's just take Embiid off, I guess. That gives us Harden at 30.6% usage, 1.4 to 1.5 DKP per minute. Tobias Harris shoots over 1. So it's just a really good spot for everyone else to fill in the Embiid role. 225 total, meh. Just waiting on Embiid news. If Embiid plays, I want some of him. I still want a little bit of Harden. I want some Kyrie Irving. And then I think that $6,500 price tag on DraftKings for Ben Simmons still probably too low to look away from. It's going to look decent enough for my projections. I might have to put a little manual logic on the Claxton projection, but at the same time, Claxton's price is up on both sites. So I don't think he's going to land as much on an aggressive projection anyway, but I guess the projection isn't that astronomical, right? The model has him for 41. And that's about what his average has been, a little below his average last 5 games, all of these games without Kevin Durant. I do think he's running a little bit pure matchup-wise. Golden State, Utah. Utah's a hit or miss, but the 38 minutes is very lucrative. San Antonio. So, I don't know. I'm on the fence, but I think the price is enough to not make me panic about how much exposure I get to Claxton. But I will say, I would have more Claxton if Embiid is down and vice versa, but I wouldn't be all the way out. Let's move on to the next game, 8 p.m. tip-off time. So 30-minute one game, 30-minute next game, and then the 8 p.m. Hour hits, and we get a couple of games. T-Wolves at the Pelicans, project 35 for the Timberwolves. D'Angelo Russell crossing over with Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Kyle. The Andersons got tickets to the game? How'd they get tickets? Rudy Gobert taking on CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herbert Jones, Najee Marshall, Jonas Valanciunas. You heard me right. Brandon Ingram expected to be back here, and he has missed quite a bit of time. So not sure what we could expect in terms of a minutes projection. I put 28, and I just really don't know. We just saw Chris Paul come back and play 38. After a time off, but it wasn't as much time off as Ingram, but Ingram's obviously younger. Prince Anier, I appreciate the sub, man. I hope you're doing all right. Let's go to New Orleans. Anier, open the door. Left big toe contusion. Ingram's been sidelined for the past 2 months with a bruised left big toe. Bro, that's a heck of a bruise. Finally turned the corner over the past 3 days. Where it goes, Coach Willie Green said the 25-year-old was able to take part in full contact, 5-on-5 working practice because of his lengthy layoff, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. So have to assume that he's going to be limited. I think it's fair to keep him under a 30-minute projection, and at this price point, I think that projection is going to just kind of keep him non-existent in my exposure tonight. And then it just creates a ridiculous trickle effect for everyone. And then we wonder if the prices for McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas are too much. And I guess to plant, I guess let's just go refresh our memories here. And we might even be able to go back to last season for a stretch because of the absence of Zion Williamson. But let's just put McCollum, Ingram. I don't even really feel obligated to put J-Val on because that front court gets pretty murky with Larry Nance and Jackson Hayes and blah, 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 blah. So let's just go McCollum, Ingram on, Zion off. this season, about 100 minutes of sample size. Both guys over fantasy point. About a 28% usage rate with a 22.8% assist rate. Let's elongate on that a little bit. Go to the beginning of last season, since it's similar enough in teams in terms of role players and high usage guys. So bringing it back to the beginning of last season, and this is certainly not gospel, but just a point of reference. 29% usage on Ingram, 27% for McCollum. So it's not, we don't have to abandon ship fully for McCollum, but it certainly is not like a 32% usage or a 30% assist rate guy. It gives us a reasonable suspicion of being less than excited to roster McCollum at 8K. I think looking at the projection, I would have to say that his price is sufficient to maybe even slightly above where it should be. So not that excited to play any of the Pelicans with Ingram splashing just enough minutes to ripple effect everyone to perhaps be overpriced for their role today. And on the T-Wolves side, with Gobert questionable. But Gobert did play the last game, so I feel like that means he's closer than in, right? Let's see, Gobert. You see a CJ 20 piece? I can see that. It doesn't mean he's off limits, but it just means like the median expectation, or even, what percentile does a ceiling CJ game come now with Ingram's 28 minutes. Gobert made his return Monday after missing 3 straight, but appears he's still dealing with the same groin injury. Taurean Prince left ankle sprain is out of action, so Naz Reid could see big front court minutes if Gobert is sidelined again. So not insignificant is the Gobert news, and nothing. No, our favorite pastime this season is Naz Reid 60% owned, $4,700 on DraftKings. So Gobert news is definitely significant. We have to keep an eye on that. As far as what to do with the rest of the team, I'm fine with continuing to get to some shares of Kyle Anderson and Anthony Edwards. He's got that dog in him. 50-plus fantasy point potential is definitely a range of outcomes. He's dropped 50 and 70 last 2 games against the same team, the Houston Rockets. The Pelicans' defensive efficiency certainly better than the Rockets. So I wouldn't point chase, last 2 games specifically, but we know his usage can spike over 30%. His per minute production can be there. And this game has an okay enough total, with the T-Wolves being slight road dogs, that positive game script for Edwards to be out there for a lot of minutes. I got it for 38 minutes, almost 50 fantasy points. In the grand scheme of the slate, Edwards is down the list. I mean, he's barely inside the top 15, I guess. So there's plenty of ways to go in the 9-10K range today. And maybe because of that, Edwards comes in at single-digit ownership. I haven't looked at ownership, but I can't imagine that there's a specific reason that Edwards would be above some of those other guys, especially if some of the news falls for like Harden and whatnot. So maybe a low-owned Anthony Edwards could be a fruitful click today. D-Russ 6,900. I think the price is right. The projection is okay. If you get to him, you get to him. But I think Edwards is the peak of my interest. I could see some tier 3 building block. Just get me over 30. Fill a role for Kyle Anderson, and then if we do lose Gobert, Naz Reid's going to look really, really good. Not that warm and fuzzy on the Pelicans. Let's keep it scrolling. Wizards at the Rockets. What up, Will Watkins? Hope you're doing all right. Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford taking on Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Kenyon Martin, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun. We got 232.5 total, 2-point spread in favor of the visiting Washington Wizards. Do you dedicate your fully to your core plays, and is a 4-core or 5-core better? Let's get some context to that question. How many lineups are you running? What side are you running? And then I'll revisit that. Do you like the over on Edwards rebounds? Let's see, what are we looking at? Edwards averaging 6 rebounds per game. The Pelicans have 8. The Pelicans are a rebounding machine. Let's see. Rebound percentage. Pelicans are top 5 in rebounds. Is this rebound 6.5 or 5.5? Edwards 5.5. I mean, just in the sake of hitting your average, I'm there, but I don't think that line's mispriced or anything. It looks it's a way below average matchup for rebound potential. So I'm just lukewarm. I think the line's right, and I think if you're just a fan of hitting overs on guys that are going to play 38 minutes and the line is below his season average, it's there. But the matchup, the Pelicans rebound pretty well. Kyle Anderson for rebounds better. You think so? 4.85. I obviously I think Rudy Gobert impacts that a lot. Let's put a number on that. I'm actually curious. So let's go back to Minnesota. What's up, Doug? Hope you're doing all right. So let's put Gobert on the court. Actually, let's put Gobert, Colin Anderson. Let's take off Cat. Just curious here. And then Edwards, it matters for this split as well, huh? Like in Kuzma tonight. Kuzma had them Twitter fingers last night. Him and Dinwiddie. All right, so with Gobert, Anderson, Edwards on, Cat off. Looking at rebounds. Percentage of total rebound opportunities, 19% for Gobert, 9% for Anthony Edwards, 9% for Colin Anderson. And defensive rebounding is about 15% for both Edwards and Anderson, with Gobert at 27%. So let's replace Gobert with Naz Reid and see how big of a lateral this could be. Yeah, Naz Reid's rebound rate definitely lower than Gobert. 23%, 14% of total rebounds. So a couple, 3, 4, 5%. And then Colin Anderson's total rebound goes to 10% with a 20% defensive rebound rate. So I guess what this sample is telling us, and if you guys are discussing Colin Anderson rebounds, we've seen better rebound potential from Colin Anderson when he's on the court with Reid and not Gobert. So if Gobert's out and you got that feeling in your bad knee on Anderson rebounds, the numbers are telling us it's a better click if Gobert is not starting, and that's a natural assumption. So, but since Gobert played the last game, I feel like I'd lean closer to projecting him in. You know what I mean? Beast bets. All right, Beast. I'll check you out. Hit me up on Twitter or something. Send me a link. All right, so let's move on from that game. Washington Wizards up at the Rockets. Project starting 5 for the Wizards. Monte Morris, Bradley Beal, Corey Kispert, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford taking on Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, Kenyon Martin, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun. Didn't I already do this, or am I tripping? I feel like I've already done that. I think we rolled back. 232.5 total. 2-point spread in favor of the visiting Washington Wizards. Wizards on I-45 South going from Dallas to Houston for this one. Is a back-to-back, but the matchup gets exponentially better. The pace goes up compared to what they were working with last night. And the Rockets, they're struggling. 116.9 points per 100 possessions. I do believe them and the San Antonio Spurs are two of the worst, are competing all year long for worst defense. Detroit's up there too. Nope, San Antonio's still up there. They're like, yeah, we got this. But anyway, super plus matchup. We talked about the Bradley Beal slot machine and what this matchup could mean for him. I'm in agreement. I think it's a massive, massive spot. Last night, we knew pre-flop, whatever. It wasn't necessarily that I was afraid of Dallas defensively, as I'm afraid of Dallas possessionly. They are the slowest team in basketball. So that just cripples your potential when it comes to your normal fantasy point accrual. Tonight's a different story. So, looking at what we ran yesterday, Beal, Kuzma on, Porzingis, and Hachimura off. Only 88 minutes of sample size here, but a 31% usage rate for Bradley Beal, over $1.25 per minute production on DK and FanDuel. So, it's a really good spot for Bradley Beal. And yeah, hopefully maybe the field is light on him because of how unremarkable his production has been from a DFS standpoint. And maybe, you know, woe is us for keep going to him. 5 fouls last night in 30 minutes. Maybe people don't pay attention to the foul part. Hopefully he doesn't get 5 fouls in 30 minutes against Jalen Green. And then, you know, he can be out there for 35 minutes and give us a shot at 40-50. We would love that 50 at a 7K. If he gets to 40, I think everyone's happy, right? If you fade him, whatever, you played him, okay, I'll take it. So, yeah, hopefully this is just a wake-up, remember me spot. Also a good spot for Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma is likely going to lead the team in minutes here. And last night was a tougher matchup for him. I think tonight everything opens up. 20-plus shot attempts in, 5-6 straight games. 20-plus real points in many of these games. 25, 30 points last night. Just a really good spot overall to be interested in Kuzma. The price is thick, right? 8,800, almost 9K, where you feel like you need as much of 50 fantasy points as you can get, but this is the matchup for it to happen. So a lot of things going his way. Let's go over here and I'm gonna look at a few things for Kuzma, because we have been kind of shopping lines for prop bets while I've been going game by game. And I do think there's stuff on Kuzma and Bradley Beal and maybe Danny Avdija to get excited for. Kuzma as a shooter is taking 7.6 3-point attempts per game, leads the team in chucking from behind the arc, and also leads the team in shot attempts. So it is natural to put those type of volume numbers against a bottom 3 defense and maybe be interested in his point props and perhaps even rebound props in the absence of Porzingis. So let's keep that in mind. And then what's his rebound rate? 17.5% defensive rebound rate leads the starters in this split. Danny Avdija's rebounds has been unsung as well. So let's go to PrizePicks. Let's go look for some Kuzma lines, and then maybe we go with Avdija. Biggest the guy that on 20 max tournament, do you fully dedicate to your core plays, or all 20 you change it up? So if you're asking, so like say I made a core 4, core 5, and I want to play 20 entry max. I feel like you're asking, do I have 100% of those 5? The answer would be no, but I would be, if they're my core, I'd probably be above 50% on all those guys and just kind of spin the wheel, make a deal around them. Some cases I'd have 1 or 2 guys at 100%, but I don't think you necessarily have to. Like, the whole point of having 20 lineups or multi-mass entries is be able to diversify and, you know, shed some of the risk. So I'd probably, the way I run my lineups, so here's an example. I go to my worksheet. I make a worksheet every day, and I go tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s. These are all the players over 5K, and then values, core values, risky values. And this is, of course, you guys have access to this if you have Run DFS VIP. My tier 1s, if I was running 20 lineups, my tier 1s would be guys that I want to be over 50% on, probably sometimes 60 to 80%. My tier 2s would be like 30 to 50, and then tier 3s would be 30 or less, you know what I mean? So that's how I run it. But I wouldn't feel obligated to have 100% of the core, but certainly want to be invested because you want to rise. Like, if the core does well, then the whole portfolio lineup should do well. All right, let's go look at Kuzma. Kuzma at 8 rebounds, 26.5 points. The point prop is really intriguing, considering the implied total and the defense. So let's go do our on-off court query. We were already on it. Kuzma's rebounds, total 12% total rebound opportunities. Daniel Gafford's at 18, and then defensive rebound opportunities at 21%. So what did the projection like Kuzma for rebound wise? Kuzma is I'm at 9.8 rebounds. I believe that's over 1 against PrizePicks. Yeah, it is. So I would be loosely interested in points and rebounds for Kuzma. If we combine them, are we getting taxed? So it's 34.5, 35, 34.5 for points and rebounds. Maybe that's a safety net, 34.5 points rebounds for Kuzma. I can get behind that. And then I doubt we have Denny props, eh? No. What do they got for Beal? 23.5 points. All right, cool. So I kind of just want to take a shot on Kuzma points here. But I think it's all in play. What was Kuzma's fantasy points? 41.5 fantasy. I got him for 47. So all of my projections is higher than PrizePicks for Kyle Kuzma. Bill got 2 of the fouls in his last stint. He didn't miss the foul trouble. That's a good shout, Keith. Let's go look at that. Washington. Beal. Hey. Beth Bachmeyer. I hope I said that right. Appreciate the follow. Hey, you're right. You're right, Keith. He only had 1 foul in the first half. And he picked up 2 fouls in the third quarter. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good catch. So do we think Bill is just not a 38-minute player and that we just keep holding on to the past? Will Barton, 15 minutes. DeLon Wright, 21 minutes. Denny closed out too. Interesting. I didn't get crazy with the projection. I think 32 is fair, but yeah, that's a good catch, Keith. I appreciate that. You got me 100. Nice. Do you think LeBron playing in the back-to-back? I don't really have a strong lean. I guess my lean would be no, because he worked his butt off last night and then got to an L. But I mean, how much do you guys think? 1, the Lakers need to win, and 2, this whole point record thing, right? So I don't know. I'm leaning. I would say like 55% no, 45% yeah. Maybe it's 60-40, but I don't have from this far out. I'm not making like a strong stance one way or the other. From a DFS standpoint, I think Anthony Davis being back for limited minutes is enough for it to not matter. You know what I mean? I certainly don't think AK Westbrook is something. So I think it's a non-issue to worry about for me from this far out, unless you're trying to wedge in, some prop opportunities. Jokic sitting, I'm not sure, Dirty. Still playing LeBron if AD plays. We'll talk about that ego, but I don't know. If Bron sits, I'm gonna pivot. What do you pivot to at that stage? You know what I mean? Like, I guess it depends on when the news comes out. That's a 10:30 game. I don't know. On the Rockets side, I'm sorry, we're all over the place, but it's fine. We're chilling. On the Rockets side, Jalen Green has got to be the most frustrating 32% usage player in basketball. Anybody else? Anybody else agree? And just when I'm ready to not play him, he turns around and drops like a 50 bomb. This season, Jalen Green on the court. Take off Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah, 33% usage rate. 1.09 DraftKings fantasy points per minute. And then we've seen that not necessarily mean much, right? 59 at 10, 57, 34, 37. At this price point, we'd want north of 40. But usage, as you can see, doesn't necessarily mean fantasy points. Usage is, I believe, the rawest way to put it. It's like a guy that contributes to the end of a possession. So a missed shot is still usage, right? And he's missing shots. 25, 13, 24, 20 shot attempts his last couple games. Because of the usage, like, I feel inclined to want to get to some exposure to him, but like, we're talking the differences, the nuances between 20 entries versus 100, 150. Like, Jalen Green might not land for me in 20 entries, but if I got to like 50, 100, that's when I start opening up the door a little bit more to him. Alperen Sengun's been absolutely crushing it, and I think the most I don't want to say alarming, the most stunning revelation for Sengun is the sudden trust and spike in minutes. He's always been a beast, but he's usually been a beast that can have 17, 22 minutes, and Bruno Fernando or Usman Garuba, guys like that just come in and ruin the party, ruin the fun. But 35, 37, 39 minutes without Kevin Porter Jr., he's been very, very productive, and has even offered over 5 assists per game in that stretch. So I think I will get to Sengun exposure. Do we think that there's, at these price points and this, the answer doesn't have to be yes or no, but just as a group, do we think not having Sengun and Jalen Green in the same lineup at these prices is the right way to go? Or is that how you guys would go? I guess they both had 50s against Minnesota the last game. So I guess that's no, they didn't, huh? Or the 3 games ago. Let's see, Jalen Green 50 against Charlotte, and Sengun against Charlotte had 50. So I guess that's a quick no. Like, they can coexist. Okay. And then I want to look at what Sengun's assist rate has been in this stretch without Kevin Porter Jr. Turn a quarter into 60. Yo, that's ROI conscious. That's good. 23% assist rate for Sengun here. And then $1.25 fantasy point per minute. What are we looking at for Sengun props? We have him at... They didn't give us an assist prop, eh? 4 free throws? That free throw prop's intriguing. Let's see. Daniel Gafford fouls per 36 this season. Oh, that's way lower than I thought it would be. Okay. But his usage, he is such a poor free throw shooter, eh? Jesus H. Or at least in the last couple games. All right, I'm still playing Sengun. And I guess I don't need to make the roll for Jalen Green. I was just trying to think through. Jabari Smith, questionable. So his potential absence, certainly not insignificant for raising the floor for me on Sengun and Green. Right ankle sprain. Spit out with the past 2 games. Ankle injury. Returned to practice on Tuesday. Say thinks his ankle's looking good. Could return for tomorrow's game in Houston. Okay. Let's get caught up on chat. Like any Raptors versus the Kings? I'm gonna get to that game in a little bit. Dan, Brook Lopez looks strong. I know you didn't mean to. You wrote Brock Lopez, and I'm like, every Brock I know looks strong. 10 DK points in one day and 58 DK points the other day. Yeah, that is the Jalen Green experience. Westbrook would be my play if Bron sits, because this can be a showcase game for him. If I heard the Spurs are still interested in trading for him, I don't think you need to showcase Westbrook. You know who Westbrook is. Green and Sengun is cool as long as the ownership isn't crazy. Yeah, I think the prices for Sengun is right. I think that's gonna keep stuff down. Third place in captain mode on Gun. How many uniques do you recommend per lineup if you're running 20? I don't really mess with uniques. I feel like if you have randomness to an extent, everyone I know a lot of like really, really smart DFS players that use Fantasy Cruncher, and like everyone has their own secret sauce. But I don't mess with uniques. If you have a decent enough player pool and randomness is whatever, then I don't think you're gonna have an issue with that. So I don't ever mess with uniques. I really don't know of any sport where I mess with uniques. Just let it rip. But everybody has different preferences. But if your randomness is fine, I don't think you're gonna have an issue where your lineup's looking too close. But definitely play with it. Like I think a lot of people fail at getting Cruncher and not playing with it in like free time. Everyone just goes to it when they need to crunch and then upload. Play with it in the morning. Look at the rewind and see what settings would have netted you certain lineups based on projections that you had. Blah 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 blah, and get to know it as a tool. Like Brook too. Yeah, Brook's probably strong though. Bucks hosting the Nuggets. Project 75 for the Bucks. Jamal Murray, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic taking on Drew Holiday, Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, maybe starting, maybe not. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Brook Lopez, 231 total, 7.5 point spread, favor of the home team Milwaukee Bucks. So Jokic was questionable going into yesterday's game, ended up playing. This is night 2 of a back-to-back. I actually had a hunch yesterday that he would sit yesterday and prep for a game against Giannis, but that didn't happen. So now let's just see if he just straight up plays both legs of the back-to-back. Bones Highland and Michael Porter also on the list here. So let's refresh and let's go to the Nuggets side. And why is my hat so low? I feel like the guy from Friday. No more locked doors, huh? No more locked doors. Okay, I don't know. Okay, let's put it back up. I don't even remember. I don't remember what that dude's name was. But he had that dog. Let's see. Denver. Oh, look at all these cues. Holy. All right, let's start from the top. Jokic dodging Giannis. Think so? Jamal Murray, left knee injury management, questionable for Wednesday's game. Bones Highland, sprained finger, left hand, questionable. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, sprained right wrist, questionable. Michael Porter Jr., personal reasons. Did you guys see what his personal reason is? I don't want to get it. His brother is potentially involved in something where he's suspected of vehicular homicide or something like that. Like, that's crazy, man. Left hamstring tightness for Jokic, he's questionable. So these are a lot of cues, and if all these cues turn into O's, then we're looking at Ish Smith in the Sunshine Gang, right? Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon, stuff like that. So this Denver team could look very cosmetically different from now till then. I don't really have a strong lean from this far out or a reason to lean one way or the other. But yeah, it's a road back-to-back. And the Nuggets, what are they, like 17-5 or something like that in their last 20? Let me. I don't want to lie, but I feel like it's something like that. Nuggets win-loss last 20 games. Bruce Brown's time to shine. Brother was drunk and killed somebody's whatever. Yeah, I think it was vehicular. So they're 17-3 in their last 20, right? So, like, not saying that they'd be punting a game, but if you're going to punt a game, you can afford one, 17-3 right now, against, Giannis and a pretty healthy Bucks team. You know what I mean? So, and then Mike Malone just came back to the team, right? No more locked doors. 3-game lead above the Grizzlies. Yeah, so that, I don't know. If my team was that unhealthy on a back-to-back, I feel like I wouldn't lose sleep by electing to rest against the Bucks in this spot. So just thinking out loud. So I don't really have a strong lead. If everyone played, Jamal Murray 7.4K, kind of hard to get excited for. Jokic is Jokic. I think in the raw projection he still was behind Antetokounmpo for me. Actually, he was behind a couple. He was only like 5th on the list. So I don't think I care too much if they're all playing. I think if they all end up sitting and this becomes a very short bench, then I have to do some more due diligence and be intrigued. Obviously, Bones Highland would look really good if several of these guys were out, but Bones Highland is questionable. If he missed, it gets rough, right? Aaron Gordon probably has more usage than his price tag suggests, so this could get really, really murky. And I don't really want to waste too much time connecting all the dots on the bulletin board right now of what if this then that, like it's a SAT question. So we just have to keep our ear to the ground, and you guys are smart enough to know what to do when certain guys get rolled out. It's only an hour after main lock, so maybe we get that info. On the Bucks side, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you feel like you have more minute equity in the projection if Jokic plays and most of those Qs end up playing, in which case, Giannis is one of the guys that's going to have amongst the top two. He has the top raw projection for me. So if those guys all miss, we might anticipate that this spread goes to double digits, and then you wrestle with, hey, is 30 minutes of Giannis on a 10-game slate truly optimal 11.5K? It certainly can be, but it is also a pretty healthy Bucks team. We did get news earlier that Bobby Portis is going to be out for a couple weeks. So what does that mean for that front court, and who benefits? Who stands to benefit? It seems like Jordan Nwora would be the next man up, but I also feel like that's not a guarantee. We've seen in the past Sandro and Thanasis get involved, so I really don't know. Somebody mentioned Brook Lopez. Do we think Brook Lopez might just be able to play more minutes? And I would certainly not want it, to be over-invested against Jokic, a block-centric center. But Brook does a good job of getting blocks and not really being super foul-prone. 24 minutes that last game, but kind of blew out. So his immediate backup looks like it's not immediate. Portis did come in for him, but then they played alongside each other. So, I really don't want to guess wrong, but it feels like Jordan Nwora or Thanasis. But I think Nwora would be first man up. But as far as backup center, we might get a lot of. I really don't know. I don't know, chat. Help me out. What are you guys thinking? Boy, if only Serge Ibaka and them weren't at war right now, huh? I guess we could just see some small ball with Giannis at the 5 if they had to rotate. Yeah. Antonio with the sub. I appreciate you, brother. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing all right. FLBJ, always with the Q tag. Yeah. Nwora or Ibaka. So isn't Ibaka like holding out for a trade or something like that? Ibaka and the Bucks mutually agreed Friday to begin pursuing trade opportunities. He left the team just under 2 weeks ago for what the Bucks have termed as a personal matter. So it just seems like he's not there. So I guess it is Jordan Nwora. How tall is Jordan Nwora? Jordan Nwora height. 6'9". So they might have to get creative with small ball packages. Then you might, I don't know. But this game's going to be annoying. So it's one of those things we're going to have to revisit later when the news actually comes out instead of just speculating here. Let's move on to the Hawks and the Thunder. Project starting 5 for the Hawks. Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella taking on SGA, Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, Mike Muscala. Got 238 total, 1.5 point spread in favor of the visiting Atlanta Hawks. That's a really tight spread. When you say, I guess, I don't know, the Hawks feel like they're better lately. The Hawks scores as of late. I know there was a stretch for, no Capella, blah, 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 blah. But are they really just 1.5 point favorites? A 2 point bucket? To see. Yeah, I guess. Maybe I just got a higher perception of the Hawks than I should. Beat the Mavs by 8. Beat the Knicks. Lost to the Hornets. All right. Trae Young, yeah, you guys got that college narrative, right? I got it for 36 minutes, getting him about 50 fantasy points. I'd take that. I think the 9K range today at all positions, but especially at the guard, is pretty strong. We've got Ja Morant. We're going to talk about that game in a little bit. Trae Young, SGA running back at him, good spot. James Harden potentially without Embiid, not for sure. He's questionable, but it could be. Kyrie Irving, $200 more. So pretty healthy options at the top of the point guard range, and maybe all those guys kind of vulture each other from being high owned. I think Harden would kind of break away if Embiid was chilling today. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense to like Trae Young here. Relly B, appreciate the sub. Man, you guys have absolutely been blowing me away with subs the last couple days. So we might actually like hit 100 in a span of 3 days. So it's good to be back, right? Good to be back on the airwaves as much more consistently. And you guys are awesome. And if you're new to the channel, basically whoever do research every day, go game by game. And it's not just a you have to listen to me thing. If you guys got takes, you guys have done some research, stuff like that, throw it in chat, man. Don't be shy. And if you're lurking, you're out there and you're not subscribed, help me out, man. We're trying to start that grind to 9K, so the sub button helps out. And then also that thumbs up helps out. Yesterday we hit over 120, so it'd be cool to hit another 100 plus like day. But it means a lot. You guys just listen to me ramble. Hopefully we can get some more interchanging co-hosts for a little bit. My main co-host, Raj, got banned. His province in Canada got restricted for DFS, so haven't been using him much. And then, yeah, I don't really have a lot of other interchangeable co-hosts, so maybe we'll do some more collabs coming up. So looking at this Hawks team, we have Okongwu and Hunter questionable, and both of those guys have shown us a propensity of being out. So let's see if we can get an update on what's going on there. We the North. What up, Adam? OKC's underrated? Yeah, there you go. Maybe I am guilty of underrating them. Acute asthma symptoms and Onyeka Okongwu left hamstring tightness questionable. Both players sat out Monday at Chicago. Both have a chance to return for the road matchup with the Thunder. All right, cool. I think what was most interesting about Okongwu's absence was that Clint Capella showed us that he could play minutes again. 36 minutes against Chicago after kind of being eased back into things, 21, 23. So if we had worries or suspicions that he couldn't go deep, well, we put those to rest. And at 5,700, if we get another situation where Okongwu can't go, I feel like Clint Capella is going to look like a really, really incredible play. And OKC, as underrated as we may peg them, they just don't have a center, right? They've been interchanging that center spot all year long. And as a result, they are one of the worst. I think they're the worst defensive rebounding team in basketball, which could create some putbacks for Clint Capella, but also just, a really good spot for a guy like Capella who can be a very prolific rebounder. OKC, the worst defensive rebounding team and the bottom 5 overall in rebound rate. I say all that, and Atlanta's right below them, but still a plus spot. I feel like I'll put Capella against Muscala, Jalen Williams, Kenrich Williams any day of the week, right? So, yeah, if Okongwu can't go, I really like Capella at 5,700. And if DeAndre Hunter can't go, I think that loosens up the defense a little bit, the wing defense. So I'm not that enthralled with loading up on like a Lou Dort or anything like that. And it might create an opportunity for like an AJ Griffin. But I'd be mainly just looking at DeJounte Murray, Trae Young for me. And then on the Thunder side, I really don't get past SGA and getting too much. And I've been, maybe this is hurting me, but Giddey at 78K, I haven't been playing, and I've been regretting it sometimes. 52 fantasy points against Brooklyn, 51 against Chicago, at Denver, whatever, it's altitude, tough spot. Denver's been just really, really good, low total. At Sacramento, 38. So The median projection, or the projection I got, is 40, which feel like is the bare bones min of really what I would want at that price point for that risk. So I probably miss out on another big Giddey game, but Hawks defensively, if he popped off tonight, I wouldn't be surprised. And then SGA, I mentioned how strong that point guard 9K to 10K range is. SGA just could fall through the cracks, and actually have him for a slightly higher projection than Trae Young. But obviously the margin of difference in the Trae Young projection, is pretty wide considering what DeJounte Murray does. And DeJounte has been contributing pretty mightily over the course of the last 5-10 games, especially scoring wise. 20 plus real points, 6 straight games, and pushing an average of like 20 shot attempts in that stretch. So somebody that against the Thunder, might be somebody that is underpriced at 8,600 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK. And I don't think at these prices, 94 for Trae Young on DK, 82 on DeJounte, I don't think they're negatively correlated too much where I don't want to play them. Like, maybe I want not 100% overlap, obviously, but I do think they can coexist in spots. So maybe I put them in the same group and like tweak the percentage on the projection on Fantasy Cruncher, but I don't think I would set a rule to prevent overlap. Yeah. What are you guys thinking? What up, Abel? OKC does suck at center. Yeah, it's bad. But they aren't outside of a first-round playoff appearance. Yeah, and by design, they have a lot of room to go forward. Still got Chet Holmgren, and then 800 draft picks in the next 10 years or something like that, right? Just a guesstimate. Yeah. Chat, we got to mention that today we have restructured the pricing for the All-Star package and the year pass now that we're about a month into the year. So both of these passes were reduced to $100. So to lock in all things VIP until the baseball All-Star break, which I believe that game's on July 11th, or the break's July 11th, just $300. I mean, that's like 6 months of coverage, so that's quite the deal. Comes with a $100 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher and full access for the rest of basketball and the first half of baseball. And the baseball spreadsheet is probably my greatest invention. I don't know if any of you guys know me from baseball, but the bomb detector has become pretty notorious amongst these streets. So if you guys want that, that's cool. It also comes with access to the RunDFS.com VIP Discord, and typically before locks, I'm in the pre-lock voice chat, and I'll do that for baseball as well. So if you guys want to hang out, talk some strategy, talk some picks, a lot of times we're just vibing, talking, relaxing while we wait for news. It's a lot of veteran players, so I'm going to do a whole lot of most of the deep divings now. But if you are a newer player, don't feel intimidated. We literally have millionaires, right? ABP has won 2 million makers, but we got people grinding quarter arcades, grinding single entries, stuff like that. So don't feel intimidated, no matter what your budget or play style is. We all bleed red. So if you're out here grinding quarter arcades and you're like, I don't want to speak in that voice chat, speak. We don't care. You're vibing. So yeah, come be part of that. So you get Discord, you get spreadsheets, you get the player pools, you get the projections, and you get the Fantasy Cruncher credit. So $100 on the All-Star Pass, $150 on the Year Pass. Both of those were reduced by $100 today. So really good value. If you were thinking about it yesterday and you're like, well, today it's harder to say no since both of those got docked $100, right? What up, KJ? Hope you're doing all right. Can you teach us how to tweak the percentages in Fantasy Cruncher? What do you mean, a game? Like the percentages of a projection? Or like ownership exposures? So I feel like the way you or the timing on that question makes me think you're talking about the projections. So to not stray from the actual projection, go to like groups over here, create a new group. So I mentioned DeJounte and Trae Young, right? So let's put DeJounte, Trae Young in the same group. So this is me saying that I don't necessarily want to prevent overlap, but I do think the likelier is that one guy doesn't pop, one guy does. You could put them in the same group, and you can take the projection down to percentage a little bit, right? Basically, just saying, all right, anytime a lineup has this guy in it, well, this projection will come down. And I guess we would probably want to make him as a key player, and then vice versa. And that's something that you can do in really any sport. It's probably most practical for basketball, maybe football to an extent. Like maybe you wouldn't want, two receivers, three receivers. Yeah. When Brandon's not here, you kind of miss him, right? I don't really miss him, the groups. But you can do a lot of things with groups. And I think if you're playing NBA DFS, so for instance, I guess the Bulls aren't on this slate, right? But what's a team with the big three? I don't know. Let's say James Harden and Joel Embiid. Let's say I like them both, but they're both expensive, and I don't want them in the same lineup. But I don't want to max one sixer per lineup. So you could say use at most one player from this group, and when you do that, you'll never have Harden and Embiid in the same lineup. But yeah, I think groups are kind of underutilized for correlating your lineups on Fantasy Cruncher. It's probably more so for something that you want your fingerprints on, like the 20 entry max and the 150. I don't go too crazy with groups. I'll usually have like 5 or 6 groups total, because a lot of times I'll just max per team like 3, and there's not a whole lot of negative correlation that I expect the projections to fall into. But there are some scenarios. So like yesterday, Jacques Landale and Bismack Biyombo. Well, they were both going to look like okay values, but I didn't want them in the same lineup because, so I just made sure that they weren't in the same lineup. That's where the groups are a little bit more practical for me. Foul-prone center and his backup. Make sure they're not in the same lineup. Something like that, Anything else you guys got? What's up, Absolute? Hope you're doing all right. What up, Sen? What up, Shark? Wild Bill Irwin. My mom was telling me that she goes to a hole-in-the-wall diner up in Garland, and I want to say it's Bill Irwin that she says is always there. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like she said he was a wrestler back in the day, and it's Bill Irwin. So I don't know if you've run into him up there. So a group for Tillman and Clark would be better than a setting group. Yes. So that's a great example. So we go back to the groups. Create a new group, and then you can name these groups. So that way, if you want quick reference later, we'll go Grizzlies center. So like tonight, and we'll talk about it in just a second. We don't necessarily know if it's going to be Tillman or Clark. Tillman started last game. We put it both in the same group because they're both probably going to project okay at these price points. It probably makes sense that we don't want 2 of them in the same lineup on a 10-game slate. So I put them in the same group, at most one of them, and then boom, let her rip, and then you won't have a lineup that has both of those guys. So that's where it's more practical. And yeah, just never tried to reduce percentage. Yeah, that's not so. The reduced percentage is really something I don't use as much because I do use like a ton of randomness, and it just kind of happens. But in some cases, like the DeJounte Trae overlap, or when I don't know, like we talked about Jalen Green and Şengün, right? 3 games ago, they both dropped 50s, but is that going to happen every game? No. And because I trust Şengün a little bit more, maybe I would put, Şengün as the key player and Doc, 7-8% on the projection on Jalen Green. That way it wouldn't necessarily, it might prevent you from getting them depending on how many lineups you got, but it's not you saying, I can't do this, if that makes sense. Where are we at? 324. We've got a couple games left. Man, what's up this BTS guy? He was a hater, huh? I didn't even see what he said. He said never pay for this BS. Oh, don't pay for it. It's free. You're talking about run DFS? I don't know. Might prefer the Clark bounce back game. Yeah, I think it was just a matter of the field didn't quite know who would start, and I think we've seen scenarios where they both started. All right, let's move on to the Warriors hosting the Grizzlies. So this is 10 p.m. We got 3 games left. Okay, so we got 3 games. No, we got 4 games left. Fudge, I'm slacking. Sorry, guys, we've just been rambling. I feel like it's been good content, though. It's not like shooting a breeze. Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Dylan Brooks, Jaren Jackson Jr., Xavier Tillman taking on Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green. 245.5 total. That is a ridiculous total. 3.5 point spread in favor of the home team Warriors. So the Grizzlies, they got a reputation on them, right? They go into towns, they talk trash, they got attitude, and they've got bad blood. They've got problems with some of the marquee teams, and we've certainly seen that happen with Golden State. So I think we're going to see some intense basketball. This might be one of those Draymond Green ejection games, but it is what it is. I made Steph Curry the cover boy because I feel like this is a spot for him. 9.8 on FanDuel, 10.5K on DraftKings, defending the house. So, and I know Ja Morant and the boys are going to come inspired and ready to play. This front court defense maybe suffers a little bit in the absence of Steven Adams and maybe Jaren Jackson Jr. This becomes one of those foul games. So there is a game script, a scenario where the Grizzlies maybe play on their heels a little bit more than usual. We are dealing with one of the best defenses, one of the best offensive situations. I know on the season, maybe Golden State doesn't project as the best offense, but I think when they're pretty healthy, they got to be up there with the best of them, right? So defensively, the Grizzlies have the best defensive rating on the season. The Warriors are closer to league average, but I don't think we all believe that. I think the Warriors at home, pretty healthy, are right up there with perhaps the best defense. And then what we do know is no matter what, both teams are running a track meet pace. We're talking number 1, number 3 pace in basketball. So this total makes a lot of sense, and I think it just stands to reason to get to this game quite a bit. No one's really off limits. I know Xavier Tillman started that last game. He's only $200 above min price. That's a nice spot. But this is also one of those spots where if it ended up being a little bit more small ball because of the Warriors maybe playing with a lead and Draymond being the 5, maybe you get some more Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5 and they stretch out. I do think there's a range of outcomes that we might see some more unique lineups here. Tillman offered 30 minutes against Sacramento, 25 fantasy points, and then a lot of us also like playing Brandon Clark. He's 4,400 today, 13 minutes, 4 fouls against Sacramento. If he gets 20-plus minutes, we know what he can contribute. 39, 25-plus fantasy point upside. I think I'm attacking the guards here more than anything. Ja and Steph are the most intriguing to me. But a sub 3K, Klay Thompson makes a lot of sense for a fast-paced game. A lot of catch-and-shoot opportunities for him. Jordan Poole feels like the odd man out for me. But, there's reason to get to this game quite a bit. Let's get caught up on chat. Hey Gun, just tuning in. Question: in situations like Denver, don't know if you got to them yet, but you go ahead and project guys out to get ahead of a build with that stuff in mind. If I've got a strong lean, I will. If I can't justifiably reason it, because I got to be responsible with my projections because we have customers that use them. I can't just rule Jokic out here. But if I have leans, I've been leaning LaMelo out for the last couple games, yeah, maybe I'll tweak that. But for Denver, I don't have a lean. I did say that this could be a schedule loss based on how they've just been crushing teams lately, and it is a back-to-back, blah blah blah. But I don't. But it's okay if you do. If all those guys were out, do you want to be on Bruce Brown at a high level? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but yeah. But I do usually wait for news unless I can have a strong lean. All right. Let's say I'm a 20 maxer that goes into the single entries as well. What's the best approach to get a variety of those in 20 lineups while keeping a core for the single entry? All right. So let's say I'm a 20 maxer that goes into the single entries as well. What's the best approach to get a variety of those N20 lineups while keeping a core for the single entries? So if I was running, I play 20 max and single entries as well. And I usually stick to the same core. But depending on how big the single entry contest is, and sometimes if I'm running 50 or 100 lineups and I know I've got a ton of this guy and if he happens to be chalky, a lot of times I'll reverse my exposures in my single entry. Like there's been nights where Luka Doncic is projected for like 70% ownership, something like that. In my single entry, I'll take the other side of that because I know I'm covered in the in the mass entry. But in 20 entry max, depending on your risk tolerance, and I know you don't want your lineups to be going against your lineups, but in that situation, I don't think you have to be too different. I mean, you could just script 20, just real quick. Like I go here and make 20 lineups. So I haven't put any settings in or whatever, or what a lot of players I know do. So just real quick, like a real basic. Let's just say I want 40% randomness. If you have the normal, and then like 3 max from each team. A lot of players I know will like script double the amount that they want. And then after it's done, because this is accounting for randomness and blah, 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 blah. And then after it's done, and it's taking a minute. Here we go. Got 1,900 left to upgrade Xavier Tillman or Trey Murphy. Any suggestions? I don't know that Trey Murphy is going to be that great of a hit today, unless somebody else is out. But so I'd probably want to upgrade Trey Murphy just because of Brandon Ingram being back. So after you make 50 here, and this is just an example, you can sort these lineups by projection. Because when it's building out these lineups, it's not necessarily going by highest projection and so forth. And then you download the CSV, and then you just take the top 20 lineups. And then you could take the top 1 lineup or the 5th lineup or whatever and throw that in your single entries. And if you have like the similar core, it'll be fine. I do things a little bit differently for NBA, and I wish I had more time. But usually what I do, the first thing I do is I jump into Fantasy Cruncher. I take every player out of the pool. And then I just kind of go game by game and see what I want and go from there, right? Let's say I want TJ McConnell is projected for 60% ownership. I'm a believer in that. Boom, put me down for 70, coach, and so on and so forth. That way I have fingerprints on everybody. But a lot of people I know just trust the projections and let her rip. So you can kind of have your own strategy, make it your own. But I don't think you have to be astronomically different in your single entry lineup versus your 20, but there are times where I am. So like tonight, let's say I'm going to be 70-80% in on TJ McConnell in my mass entry. Well, I might just fade TJ in my single entry. You know what I mean? Small nuances. I wish I had more time to go into that. Been riding the Simons from Portland for a long time. Not been working out. You think I should go there again in a pace matchup? Possibly. Utah Jazz and the Blazers. Project 35 for the Jazz. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Malik Beasley, Lowry Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Damian Lillard, the aforementioned Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic. 239.5 total with a 3.5 point spread. So 6,300 for Simons is a good price, like you said. And yeah, I think the matchup is fine. I don't necessarily feel like he's a priority for me. Like the projection's okay. If you got to him, you got to him. Has he been a crippler for your lineups lately? I think this Damian Lillard explosion has been good. 32-36 for Simons. I mean, those aren't lineup killers there. I mean, that blowout hurt him last game, I guess. But if you're talking about the 18 and 20, yeah, you didn't want that. But yeah, I think he's fine. Stocking stuffer. I don't really anticipate him to carry exuberant ownership. New to NBA, kind of lost. Yeah, T, if you have more processual questions. So tomorrow, what is tomorrow, guys? NBA schedule. You kind of caught me on a big slate where I am crunched for time. But if you catch me on a smaller slate where half the time we're just talking wrestling. So tomorrow's a 2-4-6 game slate with a late lock. So we might go live at like 3:30. But we definitely have, like, if you have process questions or stuff like that you want to talk aloud, tomorrow we have way more time. So if you think of some stuff tonight, T, and you're around tomorrow, feel free to throw them at us. And there's a lot of vets in chat as well. And you guys out there, don't be afraid to share your thoughts. It doesn't have to just be me. Skander Akbar died and lived in Garland. Yo, Shark, did I tell you? When I first broke into the wrestling business, that's where I got trained at, is Akbar School. He ran the school. Spoiler 2000, Bash, they were trainers there. Slime Shady, Action Jackson. Skandar was one of my favorite human beings. Good times. What do we got? What up, Vic? Got hung up? It's all good, bro. What up, Travis? Simon's a solid. Yeah, I got him at 36. 32 is a fine projection as well. Walker Kessler, 6K on DraftKings, 7,100 on FanDuel, so $1,100 discrepancy or an opportunity on one side versus the other. Obviously, his usual metrics, the blocks and whatnot, mean more on FanDuel, so it makes sense that he's more expensive over there. But I still think we're getting an opportunity on DraftKings. However, it is a high usage front court, or a decent usage front court, between Nurkic and Grant. So oftentimes we see high block guys parlay those blocks into fouls. Kessler, 5 fouls in 22 minutes against Charlotte. Just as a quick reference example, so it is possible that we see some more foul troubles today. 2 fouls in 13 minutes per game earlier this season, I guess, when Kelly Olynyk was healthy. So I am interested in Kessler at the price, but I don't really see myself making him a priority because of the spot, because of the matchup. And on the Jazz side overall, I think everyone's pretty efficiently priced for what they bring to the table. If you landed on a 6,600 Jordan Clarkson, 9K marketing, that's a hard sell considering what else is out there at 9K. But I wouldn't point and laugh at you. It's a really beefy total. Lots of reason to want to be there. On the Blazer side, Damian Lillard at 10.1 on FanDuel, 10.3K. With all of the other names we've discussed, the Currys, the Kyries, Harden with the Embiid news looming, John Morant, could Damian fall through the cracks as he's on one of his crazy tears? 50 plus fantasy points per game, 6-7 straight games, possibly. And Utah, even though on the season they've been struggling at defending points in the paint, they are exponentially better with Walker Kessler in the front court than Kelly Olynyk. So makes perfect sense for Damian Lillard to keep chucking it. And with the 240 total and playing the Blazers for 120, it's hard to not see 30 to 40 of those points going to Damian Lillard. So maybe Lillard gets slept on and falls through the cracks at that price point based on what else is there. So I do like getting to Lillard. I much like last night, I really like the point guard position tonight. So hopefully the value in the forward and the maybe the center spots, does its job, because point guard is loaded. What's your favorite game to target? A lot of these late games are nice. I think the prices are pretty efficient through and through on all these games. So maybe I'm not super stacky on one spot. I don't know. I could get to Kuzma, Gafford, Beal. Like, if I went to Fantasy Cruncher and just checked off Washington, Portland, Utah, Memphis, Golden State. I do like Atlanta, especially if Okongwu was out. I guess I don't really have one specific game, but there are some good spots. So I don't want to say that I have one game that I'm stuck on. All right, let's keep going. We got 2 games to try to make it fast. Kings hosting the Raptors. Projects 35 for the Raptors. Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam up against De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. 238 total, 3.5 point spread in favor of the Sacramento Kings. The Raptors are attackable because of how many minutes they play. I got a 40-minute projection on Siakam, 37 on VanVleet. The price point on DraftKings for VanVleet definitely more welcoming than the FanDuel one. So I don't mind putting these guys in like the tier 3s for me. I probably capped the Raptors exposure at 2 today. Yeah. And then on the Kings side, Fox and Sabonis have been the 2 for me. Sabonis is in a tough matchup on paper. The Raptors are one of the better teams at preventing opposing centers from accruing fantasy points, but Sabonis is certainly kind of a unicorn in that regard. Toronto's bottom 4 in fantasy points allowed per game to opposing centers, and I believe they're bottom in points in the paint, but let me double check that because I don't want to lie. Points in the paint allowed. Toronto, yeah, bottom 5 in points in the paint allowed. So it is statistically a tougher matchup. But guys like Sabonis have enough usage and enough ways to accrue fantasy points elsewise that I'm okay with getting there. And he's coming in with a really solid projection for me. And I think the rebounds and the assists could kind of hold him up a little bit. So I don't mind getting to him. The Raptors' offensive rebound rate's really, really good. Defensively, it could be better. So I'm here on this game. I'm not like tier 1 invested though, if that makes sense. What up, Tall? What up, Dave? Who is the slate killer tonight? Man, I don't know. This should be a wild one. Fox is cheap on FanDuel. Yeah, kind of linear in pricing for FanDuel and DraftKings. Looking for 40 plus. I'm getting a really solid projection here. And then if we buy into the front court defense here, it's kind of funneling the fantasy points to the backcourt. So could be a plus for Fox. But with Herter, with Malik Monk, with those guys all healthy, there is a chance that they just kind of vulture each other. So I'm not going to be like tier 1, tier 2 on these guys. But I will have them in the pool. All right, we got one game left on the docket. Once again, remind you guys that today we've reduced the All-Star Break Pass and the Year Pass by $100 each. So this morning, this was $3.99 and this was $5.99 because we are almost a month into the year. You can get into that All-Star Break Pass. That's for the baseball All-Star Break. That's July 11th. $3.99. You could rebate that down even to $1.99 by using that $100 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher, and that'll unlock all the spreadsheets for every sport and the 24/7 Discord, and the same song and dance for the Year Pass. That was $5.99 this morning, $4.99 now. Also can rebate that down with the $150 credit towards Fantasy Cruncher. So if you guys have ever been interested in grabbing that with the bulk savings, today's the best chance of the year, the best price of the year. So go check that out. And then when you do, or if you do, and you can get the week pass too, like you don't feel obligated to get whatever, click VIP portal. You'll get links to the spreadsheet and a link to the Discord. Absolutely want to see you in the Discord. And in a couple of minutes, I'll be in the pre-lock voice chat right here. We'll be hanging out, making spreadsheets, listening to music, making player pools. You guys can have access to my projections, and I have a DraftKings worksheet and a FanDuel worksheet, my tier 1s, 2s, 3s, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to copy mine. You can compare yours to mine, maybe get ideas, vice versa. And yeah, we'd love to have you in that community. It's a lot of fun. Our main event tonight is the San Antonio Spurs at the LA Lakers. Projects 35 for the Spurs. Trey Jones, Romeo Langford. Actually, no. He came out after I made the spreadsheet. Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, Jakob Poeltl. Am I not Poeltl enough for the Poeltl Club? Up against Dennis Schroeder, Patrick Beverley, Troy Brown Jr., LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I didn't get to a spread here, but we are on pins and needles for LeBron James status. It is a back-to-back for the Lakers, but we should remember that they played in LA last night, so it is no travel. So for a guy who's been carrying a Q tag all year, yes, he's uncertain to play here, but it's not like it's one of those travel back-to-backs. And he is chasing the all-time points record, right? They are 6-point favorites. It is a 242.5 total. So I don't really have a lean one way or the other on what LeBron does, but I will say with Anthony Davis back for 24 minutes, they said he was going to be in the 20-minute area. I can't pay $11K for 24 minutes, and his 24 minutes of usage just might be enough to make LeBron James $11K kind of irrelevant unless he's really trying to get to that point record sooner than later. And that just kind of wipes out the Lakers from contention for me. If LBJ didn't play, on top of, maybe like a Lonnie Walker, maybe you get some value out of Troy Brown Jr., stuff like that. But I do feel like Anthony Davis' return is going to make a lot of these prices hard to feel warm and fuzzy about, right? You certainly wouldn't want to get to 7K Thomas Bryant, which I guess there is, like if LeBron didn't play, there is a scenario where I guess AD could play the 4 and Thomas Bryant at the 5, vice versa, but all that is just speculation from this far out. And on the Spurs side, Kellen Johnson looks the most alluring to me as the guy that leads the team in usage. And then Jakob Poeltl, somewhat intriguing at 6K on DraftKings, but no warm and fuzzies through and through. Trey Jones getting a decent projection as well. I'll have to fix the Langford stuff. I think I gave a lot of that to Richardson, and Richardson is somebody that at 4,500 on DK, maybe I land on him a little bit. And I know there's been some Josh Richardson trade talk, so I don't know, maybe we talked about showcase games, maybe that's one of them, right? You guys got any high leans or anything like that for this one before I get you out of here? Watch AD drop 50 in like 22 minutes. That'd be crazy, but I'll tell you what, even if he dropped 50 at this price point, I don't feel like I have to have it. So I'll take that risk, but certainly a matchup where that could happen. Single entry must play on DraftKings tonight. Wow. I don't think there's a must play overall. I think your must play is on single entry. Probably just be like the value guys that could open up, pending some news. And then you just kind of throw some studs around it. I think it's a good night to correlate single entry lineups, like running jaw at Steph Curry or maybe SGA at Trae Young and stuff like that. But I don't really have a lock of the century today based on what we researched. It's certainly one of those wide range of outcome slates with a lot of potential shootouts. So there's that. If you guys want to help me out, hit that thumbs up before you get out of here. I would certainly appreciate it. We're at 82 likes. Man, I don't know. Could we get to 100 for back-to-back days? If so, that would be great. Tomorrow, we'll be back at it again. I think we might do a 30-minute later than usual start time since the lock is 30 minutes later than usual. But like I said, if you guys have more process questions or strategy questions, I'll have a little bit more time. I think we made good time, all things considered. So I do appreciate that. It was fun talking some strategy and fantasy cruncher stuff like that. But I will be in the Discord. I do need to shout out PrizePicks, presenting sponsor. If you guys want to reward some of the research you've already done for today's slate, maybe a guy you can't get to because of his price point, but you think the prop is an attackable spot, well, PrizePicks is the way to do it. You can attack the fantasy projections linear to the FanDuel scoring and get in that first half action, or you could jump on some props based on some news or some hunches for news that has yet to drop that you might have. If you use my name when you sign up in the promo code, they'll double your first deposit up to $100. $20 becomes $40, all the way up to $100 to $200. That's instant site credit, no slow drip, none of that, and just get to work. Right? You could have 2-pick cards, you can have 5-pick. I think you have 6-pick cards now. It's a lot of fun, and it's a way to simplify the sweat on these bigger slates where things can just get so overwhelming with 20 teams of news to track, and then all you got to do is track a couple of guys and a couple of matchups. It's a way to supplement cash games if you are a former DFS cash game player, or if you just want to simplify your sweat and be able to go out with the family and not have to worry about late swapping all night. Check out PrizePicks. And yeah, I'll try and maybe come up with a couple before I talk to Deborah Coach kind of about coming on as a guest. So me and Coach definitely have collabed. But I had a lot of stochastic obligations, but I don't think you're going to see me on stochastic for like a month or two, unless I like have to get tagged in. I don't think I'll be back on there till baseball. So I have a lot more free time, so maybe I can set that up. We'll see. All right, I guess that's it, guys. I'll be back tomorrow, probably 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central. I appreciate you guys for spending a little bit of your afternoon with watching a little bit of my afternoon. I'm going to be in the Discord next couple hours. Go check out that rundfs.com VIP section. I definitely appreciate you guys. Tell somebody out there, and I mean this, that you love them, that they matter. You never know what the next man going through. I love you guys. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.